I think she's going to want to go after that Spider Queen. Either that, or she's going to desperately try to keep Opal from going after the Spider Queen and fail.
Welcome to the Character Sheet, your home for all things fantasy and TTRPG on YouTube. Today we have a very special guest. You may know her from her roles on Critical Role, or Dimension 20, or Desi Quest, or as Auntie Ruby from Miss Marvel, but it's the wonderfully talented... I'm just going to cut from here because I'll be covering this. It's the wonderfully talented Anjali Bhimani, and she's here to talk about her role on 20-Sided Tavern. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, and welcome to our lovely little mobile setup here that we have while I'm out in London.
Oh, it's fantastic. And now 20-Sided Tavern, for people who've watched the channel, they know it's something we've covered before. We've actually done a little run-through pre-adventure with Daggle and Sarah from way back when this first started.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we know a little bit about 20-Sided Tavern, but tell us, how did you wind up with this upcoming stint on 20-Sided Tavern? How did they reach out to you? How did that come to be?
I mean, I found out about it. I saw that it was happening. I connected with some friends' manager who had, had the relationship with 20-Sided Tavern as well, because they had been in it. And I was just like, I want to do it. Let's make it happen. And thankfully, it worked out in their schedule right near closing that I could swing in.
Oh, that's awesome. And now, I think right before you start your stint, did you have a little reunion with your previous Asterion and Karlach live stream adventure companion Samantha Bear from Baldur's Gate 3?
Yes. So she's gonna be going right before me. I think she's the week before I go on, so I am gonna get a chance to see her in the show, and I already got a chance to see Neil along with Abria Iyengar and Erika Ishii. So like 3 dear friends all in one. I got to see them all the night that they all went on together a couple of months ago. So yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun watching other friends step into it. Now I'm like, ready to play. Get me in there. Put me in, coach.
Now, have you done any rehearsals at this point, or has it just been sort of like them walking through the story points?
No, not to this point. They've, I saw the show with Neil and Abria and Erika, and they've sort of sent me some guidelines and stuff, but we'll rehearse when I get out there, and then and the magic will be made.
And I think you've also done a ton of other actual play stuff. Obviously, we've talked about Desi Quest and Dimension 20 and Critical Role. And has any of those roles helped you prepare at all for like because now you know a little bit about it from Abria and Neil and all them being on it before. Has it prepared you at all for what you think's coming your way with 20-Sided Tavern?
I mean, in the sense that it's, playing D&D is helpful to doing the 20-Sided Tavern, obviously, because you have an understanding of the game underneath it. But just like the audience not necessarily needing to have played D&D, I think one of the exceptional things about how they have created this show is that it's quick to pick it up, even if you don't necessarily have a facility with the game, because it's about the story and the interaction with the audience and that kind of improvisational thing. The game is a structure and a vehicle, but it is not the story. And so, and plus, it's not so much, I think, my actual play experience that has set me up for this as my theater experience, because I started my career doing theater. And when I lived in New York, I did a lot of off-Broadway and opera and all sorts of stuff. So it feels like a homecoming in that sense. I'm really excited.
Oh, that's perfect. I was going to ask you, because I know you've had a lot of live stage experience throughout your career. But in this particular, without giving away which specific trickster you're playing, you are playing the trickster archetype in this one, I believe.
Yes, which I asked for. So I very specifically asked for it because I never get to play the chaos agent. At least I haven't yet. I sort of did maybe in one actual play, like semi-played one in one of the actual plays that I did. But really, generally speaking, it's not the lane that I tend to create in. So given the opportunity, knowing that this is already going to be kind of a crazy, chaotic experience, I asked them to let me play the trickster.
And you've also said in one of my favorite interviews on D&D Beyond that you like to, when you're thinking of a character, you don't just literally put yourself in their shoes, you think about their shoes. So what kind of shoes is a trickster wearing in this one? What is your trickster got
Well,
for footwear?
here's the problem. Here's going to be the challenge: is that I'm normally in these. These are like 6-inch platform boots. That's what I wear. Like 4 to 6-inch heels. I'm getting the sense that that might not be practical in this show, given all the running around. So I'm not entirely. It's definitely some kind of boot. I feel like it's got to be some kind of boot. Because tricksters pull things out of their boots, whether it's a dagger or a magic something, I don't know. But it's a nice place to hide surprises. So, yeah, definitely some kind of a boot, definitely a very quiet shoe, not a hard-soled boot, because you got to be able to sneak up on people as a trickster. So yeah, I'm gonna go with some form of silent boot.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And also, speaking of D&D Beyond, you just had an adventure published on D&D Beyond. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Actually, I'm really excited about it because it is another kind of first in my world, and I'm really grateful to the folks over at D&D Beyond and Watsu for supporting me in this kind of first endeavor. So it is an adventure called The Malady of Minarrh. It is a 2 to 3 session adventure for level 5 players, and we published it just a week or two ago. Very excited about that. Yeah, I'm just excited for people to play it. We did it as a third-party publisher, so I'm co-publishing it with my publishing company, Road to Ithaca Press, which is exciting as well, because we published some fiction there, but we are now stepping into being able to publish TTRPG adventures. So could not ask for better partners, obviously, than D&D Beyond, and I'm really excited for people to play.
And then can you give them like a little taste of like what's the setting or the flavor of the adventure kind of going to be like without giving away spoilers?
Sure. So no, totally. And I could sort of give you a sense of like the structure of it too, because one of the things that was really important to me, things that were really important to me. Thing number one was that people could either play this as a standalone adventure or drop this into their own campaigns that were already going on. So it is structured in a way that you can do either or, whatever you want. And I wanted it to be something that beginner DMs and beginning players, as well as experienced ones, would be able to have a good time doing it. Those two things were really important to me, especially since I am a very new DM. So the story is set in a tiny town called Minarrh that is beset by an inexplicable a malady, as it were. And there is also another situation brewing where the temple healer's daughter has been kidnapped. And she is the most powerful healer that they have in town. So it's up to the party to figure out all of the mysteries, because those are only 2 that you sort of start with. That's like Act 1, the beginning of Act 1, figuring those out. And then it takes you along this journey of finding all sorts of secrets and things that are happening in Minarrh that all culminate in our final encounter.
And now, since you've had a big background in dealing with improv, what do you think will be more challenging? Do you think it'll be more challenging to deal with the audience and their sort of improvised questions, or was it more challenging to have to keep a straight face at a table where Brennan Lee Mulligan is doing one of his weird old man characters, which you've had to do 2 times now?
Oh, no, fully. Keeping a straight face it's not. The only thing that makes it possible to keep a straight face when Brennigan plays one of these characters is that I am also in awe of his brain and his virtuosity at storytelling. So I can kind of keep myself from laughing because I'm so in awe of him. But also, why would you keep yourself from laughing? Why would you keep a straight face? Because we're playing a game and we're having fun, and part of the playing is laughing. That's definitely more challenging. If I were trying not to laugh with Brennan at the table, I would explode.
Yes, it doesn't seem possible. And then, since you haven't started your rehearsal yet, but you have gone and seen a bunch of your friends play in this, is there any big surprise to you after seeing how they've had to engage with the audience or just with the production itself with 20-Sided Tavern? Is there anything you went into and were like, wow, I can't believe they're doing this that way. I can't believe they're rolling a 20-sided dice the size of like 2 beach balls taped together?
It's not so much like a wow, I can't believe, as an excited wonder that I love going to the theater with. The theater as a medium is exceptional and special in that your job as an audience member is to commit to the story that is being told on stage, right? There's a relationship that says, I as an audience member, I'm going to go along with what's going on stage, even though I know it's not real life because you're standing there in front of me and whatever you're doing is not indicative of what you think you would be doing in real life. But so there's already this existing relationship, and this show and the structure of this show just takes that up another notch in terms of the interactivity. So every time I go to the theater, still to this day, I just get excited when the curtain goes up. And this time you can ask my friends who I was sitting next to, I was just sitting at the front of my seat, smiling the whole time, because it's just such a joy. It's such a celebration and such a joy.
And I guess and one more we're the few actual play questions we want to ask, but one more big 20-sided tavern question is going to be that now that the Wizard of the Coast has sort of announced there's going to be it'll be a touring production at some point in the very near future. Is this a thing that you just want to keep trying to do again, if that sort of swings your way, if they're in your neck of the woods with another production down the line?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as I know, yeah, I would love it. I haven't done it yet. So, I right now, absolutely. I would love to hop on and play with those folks. If for no other reason, then they are such fun people. And it's, and I love this kind of theater where you get to connect with the audience in a way you don't normally get to connect.
Oh, that's awesome. And then for a few actual play questions, we always have to ask a couple. You have had the unique experience, getting a little bit less unique now, which is awesome, of having long stints on both Dimension 20 campaigns and Critical Role campaigns. Is there a big difference between performing in the Dome versus performing at the table with Critical Role? Is there a big difference between the two sets?
So interestingly, when I first performed, at least played D&D, so I don't want to say performed, at least played D&D at Critical Role, the first longer stint I had was with Abria, who comes from, the Dimension 20 world. And when I was on Dimension 20, Matt was our DM.
Yes.
So there was already an interface in terms of what the ways the stories were being told. And so it wasn't that much different to me, other than it's a new set of awesome people with unique talents. And we're excited to tell another story, because both of them, in both worlds, even though a lot of people say, oh, Critical Role is more serious and Dimension 20 is more comedy, I beg to differ. In both worlds, you have the ups and the downs, and the sets are very different, but the commitment to the story remains the same. I think the main difference is just in that most of the people who are coming to Dimension 20 are usually from some kind of comedy background, or they're the special group of people that are connected in a particular way. Whereas on Critical Role, they bring in a lot of folks who are voice actors from the community that they know. So for me, it was just, in both places, it's just keep up. They're very similar. Keep up.
Yeah. If you think Dimension 20 can't be serious, go watch The Ravening War. Maybe my favorite ever Dimension 20 campaign, right up there with the original A Crown of Candy. That's a fantastic series.
Thank you. Yeah, that was so much fun. That was something else. That was really something else. So grateful to have been a part of that.
And then fairly recently on Critical Role, right before we saw the end of Campaign 3, we saw you return as Fy'ra, and we saw you kind of go off with Opal and sort of offer yourself up as a champion of loss to kind of protect Opal as she's sort of forcibly tagged along on that journey, given the crown of binding on her. But now that campaign has ended and the gods have been reborn, what do you think has happened to Fy'ra and Opal? Where do you imagine them being at this point in a world where Loth is now somewhere reborn as immortal and doesn't really know what she's doing or what her powers are?
That is a great question, because even when I was watching Campaign 3, at the end of campaign 3, I was kind of wondering, I was like, what's Matt gonna say? How's he gonna interpret this? And so after the end of campaign 3 and seeing what happened and how the story developed, and also talking to Matt a little bit, I think what makes sense, at least what makes sense for me, and Matt agreed that this is something that could, make sense in the world. As much as Fy'ra specifically went along with Opal to protect her, and in her heart of hearts, nothing in the world could possibly keep her from that goal. That's kind of her life journey, is to be the protector. There's only so much you can do when you're dealing with a betrayer god. There's only so much power you have as a mortal betrayer god around. So, and when you have committed yourself to another god to be able to, be sort of their pseudo champion. So I think that when everything went down at the Malleus Key, when everything, by the way, this is tons of spoilers, so please warn your audience.
Yes.
When everything went down and Opal came up back on the battlefield, I suspect that Fy'ra was off doing something else in that same coordinated attack, just somewhere else, maybe the Wild Mother Center somewhere else. But after everything, when the gods were reborn, I think she was unexpectedly somewhere that Opal was not. And so, because, Opal had to go do what the Spider Queen had to do, and Fy'ra had to do what she had to do. So I think right now she is desperately trying to find Opal. And I don't even know if she knows the gods have been reborn. Because all the people who were there, with Bell's Hells, they know. But I don't know that she knows. I do think when she finds out, she's going to have a big old "I told you so," because she did tell the Spider Queen in those last couple of episodes when she was taking over Opal, she did tell her, "You will not have her for long." So I think there's going to be that big old "I told you so," and I think she's going to want to go after. I think she's going to want to go after that Spider Queen. Either that, or she's going to desperately try to keep Opal from going after the Spider Queen and fail. But probably more likely, she's going to be like, "Cool, I told her she would never have you, and now we can do something about it. Let's go, let's go, let's go." But man, Fy'ra needs to catch a break. This poor woman. She came to Exandria to, protect her sister, and then she thought her sister was dead, and then she found out like, so many spoilers right now. Like, she's had a rough journey, and then the same thing with Opal. So yeah, it's her journey continues, but we know not where yet. So hopefully we will get to find out.
Yeah, Critical Role historically has not been a great place to be for twins over the course of its events.
Yeah, but even the twins, like, they made it. They survived.
They finally got a good ending. It took them a long time, but they finally got kind of a nice ending. It took them a minute.
It took them a minute. It took them until campaign 3, but they got themselves a happy ending. But yeah, who knows? Who knows?
Anjali, thank you so much for joining us. And if you guys want to see more of Anjali, please go see her at 20-Sided Tavern. She'll be there April 17th to April 22nd playing the Trickster. It's a fantastic show. She's a fantastic talent. We can't wait to see more of it. And just once again, thank you so much for joining us on the Character Sheet.